We'll get started. Mark Berman.
Hey, Stephen, is there any update on some of the guys you have that are out injured?
Nothing changed. Nothing has changed. So DJ's still out. Sterling is still out. Definitely won't play tomorrow, and possibly the back-to-back. He won't play. DJ's out for all 3 games. Eric and House are also both out for all 3 games.
Thank you.
Yep.
Jonathan Fagan.
Just asking a little bit more about last night, matching up Kelly on bigs and Christian on fours. Is that something in the future, as Christian gets more time against the bigger guys, that he can defend well in your mind as he gets more and more experience with Jokic and Embiid and Valanciunas and so on?
Yeah, I think it's going to be something that he'll be able to do. He'll have to use his quickness and probably front some, and we're going to have to support him, whether it's digging or double teaming, or at some point, hopefully he'll be able to just kind of play him on his own. And if he is able to use his quickness and force them off the block, then it's a lot easier for him. But for him, at this point, it's just tough for him to guard guys right down there. It's hard for anybody really to guard somebody one-on-one on the block in the post. And it's the kind of reconciling the value of a post-up, giving up a post-up as opposed to any other shot on the floor. And the shot value of a post-up obviously isn't great. That's why people aren't posting up like they did when I first started coaching. But, you know, there are a few guys who do it, and you don't want to overreact to post-ups, but you also want to be able to support a guy down there and not leave him on an island.
In the past, a quick center like Christian would try and make Jokic run, see if you can keep up 94 feet. Is Jokic better now at that and dealing with that? Or is that something that Christian can still call upon in this kind of matchup?
I think he can do it against anybody. He's quick enough, he's fast enough. And he really, I mean, as you see, he really has great hands on those passes over the top where he can just catch and finish and keep it up and dunk it or whatever, finish. He had one last night early in the game in the first quarter where he just outran him, and we threw it up to him and he caught it and finished. So I don't think it matters who's on the floor. I think he can do that against anybody. And that's one of the things that I've kind of been talking to him about ways that he can, you know, score a little bit easier, offensive rebound, and beat the opposing center or four if he's being guarded by 4 down the floor.
Thank you.
Adam Spolin.
Hey, Stephen, the head coaches that you coached under your time in the NBA, they're pretty stylistically, they're pretty different. Is there one that sticks out that you say kind of aligns with the way that you see the game?
Yeah, probably Rick Carlisle. He is very, you know, it's changed a lot for him. So he's very adaptable. I mean, he's been in Dallas, I think, for 11 years, and they've changed quite a bit. You know, the championship years, it was kind of running through Dirk, but they also played a bunch of pick and roll with Jay Kidd and Jason Terry and those guys. And then when I first got there, we were kind of toying around with 5 out, and he understands the value of it. But then when the Porzingis trade came, he was kind of all in on 5 out. And then the defensive part, as far as kind of switching from man to zone and, you know, doing different things defensively, I would say I'm probably closest to him as far as our kind of the way that we see the game and the way that we do things. And hopefully I'll be as successful as he has been over the years. But like you said, I've worked for Don Nelson and my dad and Steve Clifford, and learned a lot from all those guys.
How do you think that you've changed over the last 20 years?
Oh man.
I guess your view of the game, I guess, would be
Yeah, yeah. No, I got you. A lot. When I started, I was 27, I think, my first year as an assistant coach, and the game was so different. So as a coach, I'd be going to the men's gym at UCLA with Baron Davis, and we'd be working on elbow jumpers and pull-ups and all of those things, and post-ups and UCLA cuts and cross screens, and just a very kind of static way of playing. And my thinking, I guess, was very much in the box at that time. And then I went to go work for Don Nelson, and all of those things kind of just were kind of set aside, and the box was broken, and he thinks totally outside of the box. And my vision, I guess, was expanded as far as what you can do and what you can kind of tinker with, and how can you create advantages. And Nelly was so good at picking on bad defenders or going at certain guys or going at certain situations. So I guess to answer your question, I've changed kind of with the times. As the times change, try to stay ahead of the times, but not being so static in thinking, and being open to a lot of different methods and ways of doing things is the growth that I've had over the 20 years, and hopefully continue to have, because you can't stand still as this game is moving so quickly in the space and pace direction.
Jonathan Fagan.
There we go. A very different subject. John was telling us last night about your talk with the team. And so I wanted to ask you to need to warn men, adult 30-year-old men or 25-year-old men, about keeping your tags up to date. Make sure you use your turn signal, things like that. How difficult of a thing was that for you to feel the need to make that kind of warning?
Yeah. So it was difficult. I was really trying to figure out a way to do it smartly, and to kind of take the emotion out of it, I guess, and to really focus on how I could help, and really focusing on, like in basketball and this season, and I've mentioned this to you a bunch of times, like really just focusing on what we can control and the controllables. So that's kind of how I framed it to the team, as far as there are certain things that you can control, and controlling those are having your tags up to date, making sure your turn signals are working correctly, making sure your driver's license is up to date, making sure that if you have any parking tickets, they are taken care of, making sure that there are no outstanding warrants or anything in your name. Because the other part, unfortunately, you're kind of at the whim of whoever is controlling the situation, which isn't you. And that's so unfortunate. But if you can really just focus on what you can control, it'll help, hopefully. Maybe not, but hopefully. And I see it was a important message, I guess, and I didn't take it lightly at all. But my thing is, like, how can I help these guys, and how can I help them through these situations, and hopefully they don't have to go through what's some of the situations that we're seeing throughout the country.
So it's not just about preventing something like that from happening. It's almost dealing with the frustration or even something being infuriating. It's how you can deal with it emotionally is by then being able to take an action rather than just avoid a bad thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, there's the whole other emotional side of it, like I was saying, and I kind of wanted to stay away from, especially before a game, but I kind of wanted to stay away from the emotions of the videos that you see and the emotions of the interviews with family members and the emotions of all of the things that you see and read about. And these guys are always on Instagram, and the things that they see on there, it's just, it can be a super, super emotional thing. And I chose to really just kind of not necessarily look at the solving the problem, but putting the guys in a position to where maybe it doesn't happen to them, or maybe they get, as they're driving, they can just keep going instead of getting stopped. So yeah, that was that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.